Namaste beautiful yogis. Today I will share a quick astrology video and I'm getting ready to shoot a yoga class. So I will actually show you my chart just because obviously I'm the expert on my chart because I've studied it for so long, and I will just kind of take you through things to look at or to how genius your own chart is by just showing you mine. And I've studied the charts of people close to me. I like charts of celebrities because you kind of see their public persona or their art and you know that side of them, so it's good to study that portion of their chart and to see how that represents itself in a chart. Actually, I want to show you a chart, an example of a lot of celebrity charts and how fame is so strongly. Every single person I have looked at that is wildly famous, like the big celebrities, they have a theme of fame that is very strong in their charts. Now with my chart, I don't even know, I can't obviously cover a whole chart. The whole chart is an endless thing. I will cover just certain aspects of it, so please don't take this as the whole chart or even as a big aspect of the whole chart. I'm just going to show you one small segment of a chart because it's impossible to cover the whole chart. And also, as I deepen as a person, things start to read themselves a different way. Just the chart evolves on its own. So let's get to the chart, and I hope you enjoy this type of video. And in the comments below, please post a live question of your own, and if it's very personal, you can just private message me and your birth information, and I'll just look at your chart and just give you an intuitive reading. I'm not gonna do this often or a lot, so let's I'll probably try to answer maybe 2 questions, and maybe in the future I'll do it again. So let's see how that goes, and let me show you my chart. It is a personal and a private thing, but I figured I have been very personal with, I try to be raw. I try to be raw, and I try to share with you optimism, which is easy for me, and also personal struggles, just so that you know that you're not supposed to always be one flat optimism. But let's get to the chart and we'll go from there. All right, ready? Here is my chart, and I will quickly show you how, if you're a complete beginner, this is not a complete beginner type of video, but if you're a complete beginner, I will show you this is the horizon where the sun is at the time of your birth, the second of your birth, really, the very moment of your birth, where the sun is rising, in what sign. And this is the I area of your chart. Then this is the U area, partnerships, and in general how you mirror, because everything, your partners are in your chart, your parents are in your chart, everything is in your chart, so ultimately everything is you. It's all one. This is a repeating theme in just when you grow in wisdom. So this is the you, how you mirror to relationships, what are the people you attract or the relationship you look for, to simplify things. And here is the public persona, your career, where you how you are viewed in society and in the world. Here is how you're viewed as a person. And the sun, which is when they ask you what's your sign, that's your identity, your ego, your, yeah, I would say your identity. That's your identity. And here is the most private sector, where you're introspective, where you go in, where you hide away from the world, your home, your subconscious. Now there is other areas of your chart that are the subconscious or the unconscious. Pluto can deal with the unconscious and with your soul's desires with the, it can be dark. I think it's misunderstanding when it's interpreted as dark, but it could be the shadow, and the shadow holds the key to your growth, because unless you expose your blind spots, you can grow. So, and you have to expose everything one at a time, only when you're ready to see it, because we should not see things we're not ready to deal with, to cope with. That's like the Kundalini awakening. You want to only awaken things that you can deal with and you can face. So it's okay if things are unfolding slowly. Now, I have a chart that most astrologers don't understand, in my opinion, and interpret incorrectly. I like, I don't think things are ever meant to be good and bad. When someone reads charts as good and bad and favorable positions, they simply don't understand astrology, and that's most of people and most of astrologers. They just do not understand astrology because they think anything, some things can be bad. No, we choose our chart in order to grow. The red lines are challenging aspects, and the blue lines are favorable aspects, gifts, and talents. Those are things that can come to us if we unfold the gifts. They're not necessarily things that will happen. They're things that if we unfold them, they would be easy or gifts. And the red ones are challenges that we have to work through, and that's where our growth is. We can grow through these aspects that are squares and oppositions, and they're difficult aspects that will present themselves as challenges, not necessarily as suffering. Suffering is something we can avoid, but as challenges, and depending on how we view them and how we approach challenges, we can grow. Now, I have a chart. Moon in Capricorn is generally strongly misunderstood moon because it's the opposite of the position of the natural position of the moon. Moon generally is, Cancer rules the moon. Moon is ruled by Cancer. Capricorn is the opposite sign of Cancer. So people tend to read this moon in a very, they just don't understand it. Another thing astrologers, I would say probably 99% of astrologers don't understand is 12th house. And you can see mine is packed. So I can tell you that I'm the expert on 12th house. Obviously, I deeply understand moon in Capricorn, and I tend to attract a lot of moon in Capricorns in my life. Um, I will start with that axis in my chart. Now, when you look at my chart, you will say she's an Aries. I have Sun in Aries, I have Mars in Aries, and I have Mercury in Aries. She's an Aries. Where does that Aries work? It works in 12th house. It works in the house of spirituality. So that fire energy, that independent, individualistic fire energy is all put in the house of self-undoing. No ego, selflessness, humility, um, ending of a cycle, the end of a cycle, the closure, the full completion of a cycle, the full understanding of a cycle, the enlightenment of the whole wheel. So that's where I like to put that energy of the Aries, the baby. So with kind of childlike naivete, let's say, I can work in the area of the most profound area of human growth. Now, if you're not ready to break the ego, and if you're not ready to learn and grow, this house, 12th house, can be a house of suffering because you're resisting the ultimate undoing. You're resisting growth. When you want to grow, this house becomes beautiful because the lessons of life are revealed to you, or the spiritual side of life is revealed to you. You can see the unseen, the one that's unseen for other people. Mercury in 1 degree of Aries, that is a complete, this is always, I'm always gonna be someone that wants to start new things, discover, create, innovate, and reform. I'm never gonna fall into studying something old and just fall into that or repeat other people's creativity. I will wanna invent. This is an inventor's Mercury. Mercury is the mind. So I have a strong mind that wants to create things. It's a masculine mind. Venus is in Pisces, 25 degrees of Pisces, and it rules my ascendant, Taurus, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. So actually I have a soft Venus in Pisces as a ruler. So artistic, very artistic Venus, again, the unseen, the creative, the spiritual, is the area where is the sign that Venus is in, and it is in 12th house. So that's how that goes. In some readings, Venus is in 11th house, so I think for me 11 kind of works better for my Venus, because it's a Venus of 11th house ordeals, which is losing yourself in the collective. So again, losing yourself in these two houses is the theme, and that's clearly the theme of my life. I have heard that if you have a stellium in a sign, which I have a stellium in, or almost a stellium in Aries, that means that this quality is not strongly established in the soul, so it's given to you, so you can kind of work on it. Meaning, I in a previous life with the South Node in Pisces shows the spiritual last life where the person was in this particular chart, and how I feel it for myself. It's someone that was say sorcerer, a healer. Um, Not so much, it didn't mean that I worked with people. Maybe I was in a mountain and just working on enlightenment, or someone that was a sage or wise man, something of that nature. So, someone spiritual. So, someone that basically dissolved the ego. So, they sent me in this life with that past and with a North Node in Virgo, so service. I have to serve people. So uh, in past life it was 11th house, the North Node, so that means I just was comfortable with no identity, being one in of the whole, and just totally dissolving myself into the divine. So how am I gonna accomplish anything and serve anyone in this life if I have such a dissolved ego, right? So they give me planets in Aries, which is the ego, the baby, the beginning of all beginnings, right? Total egotistical baby, where the baby have to understand the self and it's the I, so that I don't decompose and turn into mush, right? I can survive this life with a healthy ego, strong belief in myself, so that I can accomplish what I'm here to accomplish, which is the Virgo task of service through the lessons of spirituality and self-dissolving. Fifth house is through joy, on stage or maybe with children. I don't know that. I started feeling my North Node at around 32 when I started teaching more seriously. Before that, I had no desire to teach, which Jupiter is strong. I have a very 29 degrees of Jupiter is a strong teacher in Cancer. Sorry, is an absolutely position for a teacher. So are those. Mars in Aries in 12 houses, teacher, yoga teacher aspect, where you're, or martial artist, spiritual martial artist, something spiritual and athletic, teaching, and also abroad. Everything in my chart has turned out kind of in a poetic way. Those are aspects of being abroad and teaching abroad, with the Mercury there in the 12th house, and with the Jupiter in 29 degrees of Cancer, aspecting my sun. And with North Node in 5th house, I started to feel those tendencies to serve after 32, after the age of 32. Before that, I didn't want to hear anything about the world. I wanted to go in my world and just kind of feel the divine and learn everything there is to learn. And just, I didn't want to participate in ego anything. And now, obviously, I need to participate. Now, 12th house is also the house, yeah, it is no ego. So that's why I always teach don't think, because thinking comes from a very strong ego. Also, feeling comes from a strong ego. When you hear someone say, my feelings are hurt, that is not a feeling, that is a thought. And it's coming from the ego, because emotions flow through you and get resolved and healed, but feelings are patterns of thinking and ego unconsciousness. So that's where self-awareness comes and understanding yourself. Now, I do have a moon on the top of my chart, where you see me, or you see me how I professionally come off, which is as a nurturer. But it is in Capricorn, so I like structure and I like toughness. I'm not a softie. Let's just say that with so much Aries and Capricorn, I'm not a softie. I have insane amount of compassion and empathy because of the Pisces in the 12th house, but in a tough way. In a tough way. I would I have absolute acceptance of everyone, of how they are, where they are, but also I have this approach that if you don't take your destiny into your own hands, that's a Capricorn, uh, you just will not heal, and you will not move forward, and to just not baby yourself too much. So that's just one very minuscule aspect of me. So desire Pluto in sixth house. There is quite a few lessons I have learned through my own suffering, so that I can assist others in their healing, because sixth house is healing. And I have vertex here conjunct my Pluto in the same, almost in the same degree. Vertex is the second descendant, so the U in my chart. So I have Pluto intensity there, absolute profound intensity. Pluto is a soul's desire, is I don't see it as much as the underworld or any of that. I see it as your absolute psychological depth, your deep unconscious that you can work through, work with. Um, Longing is the Neptune for your chart. Absolute longing, hard to resolve longing is here. Moon is obviously your emotional body. So emotionally, I don't spend a lot of time to pity myself. I can have any moment, I can have any emotion, but that's not my predominant emotion, self pity or. Uh, I like to resolve emotions and move forward, and I love obviously to put my emotions to work in my career. Obviously, I've made uh, my emotions my work. I work through emotions in my work, in my classes, and Moon in Capricorn is a very, very deeply, I would say, probably one of the most emotional moons, because there is no surface emotion, there is deep emotion. I'm not, as you can see when you look at your chart, by houses you can see that I have a lot of activity in 12th house, which is spirituality, and there is not much in first house of the ego or identity or the self, second house of values, and third house of communication and small talk. And I'm terrible at small talk, but if you put me in a house with people that are deep, I love to immediately go to the deep subjects. I can talk immediately about the very deep stuff, the transformative, the birth and death. Like if you put me to talk to people on a very deep and personal and profound level, yeah. If I have to chit chat small stuff, I can get shy because it's not my strength. I'm not good at it. I don't look down on anything. I think it's a massive quality to have, but you see, there isn't planet here. So, and Cancer can be shy, so I can be shy about it. So, that is my interpretation. There's quite a lot more to look at, and I want to share with you next, looking at the celebrity charts, but I will make this in a separate video. This is my, again, self-undoing or being raw with my chart. That's how you can read one aspect of it, and I didn't even go into aspects or anything, but I hope it just gives you an idea of how deep astrology is. Um,